Hi, I'm Victoria. I'm a child psychiatrist and parent coach, and I'm also a mum. And today I wanted to share my own experience of doing a little bit of homeschooling with my primary school age daughter, just because I thought it'd be interesting. I know lots of parents are going through that at the moment, so I thought I'd just share a little bit about what I've found useful and how I've approached it. I mean, obviously each child is different, but I think it's important to share our experiences so that people can pick and choose what they like to do, which is similar maybe to their own experience really. And if you like my videos, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel or like my Facebook page. And if you do sign up for my email list, I also offer extra tips and sometimes videos only to my email subscribers. So if you're interested in that, please do check it out. But otherwise, stay tuned and I'll share how I have experienced it. So first of all, I want to say that obviously I'm very lucky. My daughter doesn't have any very specific needs when it comes to schooling, and I do only have one child to look after, which I think does make it easier. I think if you are looking after a school-age child and also like a toddler or a preschooler, I think it is much trickier. And if there's only one of you who's doing the care, to really try and get anything set up. And also it really largely depends on how autonomous your child's able to be. Obviously slightly older school children will be a bit more able to just get on with something you set for them, whereas slightly younger school age children will find that hard. And also just for some of them that will be something they find difficult anyway, regardless of their age, because they just need to be brought back to focus. So it is really different, and I think it's important to remember that every child is different, and that if yours is one that just takes a bit longer to concentrate and just finds it hard to be autonomous, what it will do is it'll give you really great information for what's happening to them in the classroom and whether they're able to concentrate. Of course, as an adult, as a parent, you're going to be very different. So they're not going to have the same relationship with you as they do with a teacher, and actually renegotiating that relationship is, I think, quite tricky, because they will expect to be able to get away with a little bit more, or to maybe sidetrack you a little bit more than they would with a teacher. And I think just being aware of that as an adult, as a parent, really helped me, because I think when I was seeing some of the things my daughter was doing, I was thinking, well, actually, I think she's trying to sidetrack me from, so she doesn't have to do something that she finds a bit tricky. Whereas obviously with a teacher, she wouldn't really be able to do that. And in school, children often have other strategies of managing that, like just maybe sailing under the radar and just things not being noticed as much. And then they still, maybe don't have to do as much as they kind of do when someone is on them all the time. So I think, noticing the things that your child tried to sidetrack you from gives you really, really key information about the things that they're finding difficult, and in many ways, therefore, the things that if I was homeschooling, I'll be focusing more on, because that's your opportunity to do some more supportive learning, I guess, in the way that, you can support them in the best possible way, being sensitive to them and really going through things as slowly as it works for your child, and really helping them focus on that, really helping them say, okay, well, just let me know that it's difficult. Don't try and sidetrack me. Just tell me that this is hard. Just find a way of telling me that. I don't mind that it's hard. We will just go through things slower. We will break it up more. We will do it in smaller chunks. But what I want you to do is just tell me that this is hard, rather than trying to distract me or distract yourself, or, just try and not focus on things. Just tell me, I'm terrified of doing this. This is really tough for me. So I think that first bit of actually helping a child communicate that to you is really key. Because once you have that communication, it becomes a little bit easier to manage some of the things they try and sometimes do, because you actually know what's happening, and you can say, are you trying to not do this because it's actually a bit hard? Should we do it slower? How do you want to do this? So the things that I found really worked, and some of the things that I've used have come from me doing the educational masters, but I did it for adults, but I guess some of the stuff I learned, I think probably still applies in kids as well. First of all, have breaks after every single session as such. So I divided the day into several sessions, and there was a half an hour break between each one. So overall, we didn't end up doing as much learning time, I guess, as you probably would do in a school. But I think everyone who does school education, home education, says really that's not what you should do. And I agree. I think it's good to have lots of breaks, partially because it gives you time to do some things as well, like if you're having to cook lunch, or just do normal household stuff. and partially just gives you a break from kind of constantly having that one-to-one time. So I'd usually do chunks of sort of a half an hour, 40 minutes, and then have a break really, because I think that worked quite well in terms of allowing focus to happen. And even adults can't really concentrate more than about 40 minutes. I find, when I teach, most adults struggle to hold lots of information for 40 minutes. So I think dealing with a primary school age child, they're going to really struggle with that. So definitely my cap was at 40 minutes. At the most, but obviously often with children you're doing quite interactive things anyway, so it doesn't quite feel as overwhelming as it does with slightly older children or adults, for example. So I think having breaks between each different thing was really helpful. I think really varying the things that we did. So obviously when they're primary school age kids, you're a bit luckier because I guess you have to maybe do maths and English, but you don't necessarily have to do loads and loads of different subjects in the same way that older kids do. So we could really mix things up and do other things in there as well, have a real variety, which included sort of physical exercise as well. So we had physical exercise as one of our sort of sessions really, because I did feel that having that in the middle of the day really helped release some energy that usually I guess they release at break time with friends and things like that. So yeah, I think that was really helpful. And having other kind of more physical stuff, like we did some music, for example, something that was a more of a physical and interactive thing to do. The other thing I did is I let my daughter choose where the sessions went every day. So we just had sessions that she could put on the timetable, because that gave her some control over how we did things and what order she did things in. And I think that really helped with the engagement really. We also had something really nice at the end of the day that we did together. And it can be anything, that you choose, but, we always had something that we'd kind of do as something fun at the end of the day, so that there was something to really look forward to when the kind of last lesson as such finished, which was really good. And often we'd also find a way of her calling a friend or something like that as well after that. So there was sort of a couple of nice things planned for the end of the day, which just kind of got us back into the normal relationship that we have. So rather than trying to be in that sort of teacher mode, it kind of returned us nicely back into normal family mode really. And the other thing I found really good was really having different days during the week and the weekend, so that we still kept some structure. So having a timetable, we did write the days every day on our timetable, and then the weekend being really different from the school day timetable, because I think, in a world where things aren't as predictable anymore and a lot of the routines have, I guess, fallen by the wayside, I think it's really, really important to do that, because it still keeps the weeks and the weekends at least sort of going in a more understandable way. So I think, that was one of the things I definitely thought has worked quite well. So those are really my few things that I've really enjoyed doing, I have to say. I think it's been in some ways quite tough, but in other ways it's been enjoyable, and we've done a lot of things together, and I felt like it's been nice to see where my daughter's at and really get to know a bit more about what she enjoys in real life, rather than just hearing it from a teacher. But there have been times when it's been tricky, but I think a lot of that time has been around the things that she finds difficult, and is just working with that and seeing that for what it is, rather than trying to get through it and kind of push through it, but just noticing it, stopping and paying some attention to it, and then breaking things down. I think that's probably been the most helpful thing. So if you found that helpful, as I said, please do either subscribe or like my page, and hopefully I will see you again soon.